Hi, everybody. I'm Robert. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Moonnox. Thank you for joining us today, whether it's morning or afternoon, and Happy New Year. My word for this year is grace. I think with just everything we do in life and work and careers and all of our aspirations, I think we all deserve a little grace for ourselves and our loved ones. So thank you. So today I am going to walk you through a little bit of a walkthrough on our platform, and I'm going to use a use case today you probably see a lot as service leaders, specifically around top of the revenue capture, right? So um, the example and demo today is I am going to be Robert Ong. I work for Moonnox Consulting. I'm a senior account executive, and we focus on Salesforce, Tableau, MuleSoft, and Data Cloud implementations, right? So the full gamut of the Salesforce suite. And I've been trying to get a deal and work with a prospect named Melody Bentler. She's the SVP of Global Supply Chain Operations to see if there's any opportunity to leverage Moonnox Consulting for an agent force implementation, right? So um, the idea is I have done my research. I kind of understand at a high level what Nike is trying to do for 2026. And I approached Melody, and Melody's impressed by kind of like my due diligence, my research, and she decides to take a call with me. So I have a call with Melody, and she gives me a lot of great insight on what her charter is for 2026, some high level goals for her team and for the executive leadership. And it just so happens I impress her in the call, and she's like, you know what, Robert, I'm going to give you a shot. She decides to email me Nike's 2026 AI charter, right? It's basically an internal document that's being shared around their goals around supply chain optimization, leveraging AI, how does that integrate with their SAP system, et cetera. And she goes to me and says, Robert, if you can come to me with a proposal around what you guys have done before in the past at Moonnox, similar client stories, right? And that you can handle an opportunity this size. And also just give me a sample of the type of individuals that would work on this project. Who would be a good fit? What's their background? What certifications and what things have they done that might align with this project, this giant initiative, right? So if you think about what Melody's asking me to provide to her, which is a shot to win this big opportunity, there's a lot of context that I have to navigate through to be able to stitch this information and give her, a very thoughtful proposal that not only shows Moonnox in the best light, but ultimately drives greater value for Nike and Melody's initiatives, right? So what I'm going to show you today, as I zoom out a little bit, is a couple of different context sources that I would need to leverage to then be able to drive that output. The first thing I'm going to show you is it's actually not on here, but I'm going to show you how I got research done around Nike leveraging the Moonnox platform to just get a high level thesis on what they're doing. I'm then going to show you how I leverage that context to then engage with Melody on a call. And how does that call being leveraged on Moonnox's own call conferencing solution directly integrate into this Nike project where I've been tracking all of my context and interactions with Melody. I'm then going to show you how Melody's 2026 AI charter can seamlessly be ingested into Moonnox as well so that I can have additional context and picture around that data. And then, if you think about the story of what I'm trying to piece together, that also requires, some of the previous work we've done. So I'm going to show you how the Moonnox client stories stored on Google Drive can be seamlessly integrated into my context data set. And then also the most important factor in this picture and related to our demo is all the information that is in our PSA system, right? So skill certifications, who are my people? What are their certs? What are their highlights, their baseball stats, right? The estimates versus actuals report, because I need to know essentially what they've built before in the past, because there's great data in regards to the hours that they build, the notes, the information of where they're spending their actual time, that unstructured data that we could potentially find where there's actual trends that we might be overlooking. And then finally, the resources profile report, just basically a breakdown around resourcing availability and the utilization. So I can basically really think about, hey, who can we staff on this thing within the next 8 weeks or whatnot. So I'm then going to show you how that all that context being fed into our agentic studio can then be leveraged to then drive assets that I can then basically give back to Melody and give a finalized proposal. So with that being said, I'm going to switch my screen.
We can see.
Great. Awesome. So this is my Nike sales cycle project that I've been running as an account executive, and I have a lot of there's a lot here, but I'm going to kind of hyper focus on things that are specific to that use case that I just showed. So you can think of this project as kind of a placeholder and kind of a centralized knowledge graph for everything that we're talking about with Nike. The first thing I'm going to show you is, let's say that I have not actually engaged with Melody yet. Within our platform, we have a module called Insight Finder, where I can actually create a deep research job. So if you're familiar with tools like Notebook LM or some other research tools, we have our own version directly embedded into our system. And what I've done here is I've actually ran a couple of different requests. I wanted to understand what was Nike's 2026 supply chain challenges. I also wanted to see what was Nike's 2026 global AI roadmap initiatives. Remember, this is before I even engaged with Melody. And I wanted to get one of our core, organizational agents to, hey, just identify the core themes within Nike's 2026 roadmap. And then any previous work we've done at Moonnox that just demonstrates our ability to support Nike's initiatives, right? It's basically helping me piece together a thesis or some sort of proposal that I can then take and draft and then engage with Melody. There's a lot of other cool features here where we can then automate the reach out to Melody. I'm not going to show that today, but think of this as my entry point. I'm getting good data, good quality information about my prospect to show value even on the first call. So now let's say Melody gets my email or some sort of outreach and decides to take my call. Within Moonnox, we have our own call conferencing module. And during the call, uh, I have my own agent join that conversation where I can then engage with Melody. And one of the things that is actually happening behind the scenes is it's not shown here on this specific view, but during the conversation, that research that I leveraged earlier in Moonnox, I can actually get real time coaching from an AI around what we're discussing, and then also have it reference that research, right? So as I'm talking to Melody, I'm getting live coaching behind the scenes on that research, right? And to have a more thoughtful conversation to Melody. I also then, after the call, get my call summary, my action items, my transcripts. I can rewatch the video, but I can also assign the agent that might take a first pass at trying to draft up a PSA or a staffing report, or a solution architect agent or a marketing agent. We can double click into that in a future webinar, but this is the power of leveraging that context within the Moonnox system. So now we have both the calls. We have some research on Nike's 2026 AI initiatives. I have a call with Melody, but she's also going to send me her 2026 AI charter. So she says, Robert, per our discussion, here's our AI enablement charter. If you can provide some additional details based on our conversations, I'll share it with my steering committee, right? And it's a pretty robust roadmap charter. It's, summary objectives for 2026, their current challenges, the systems that are in scope. A lot of great information for me to build a business case off of. I have the ability to very seamlessly BCC this. Every single Moonnox project has its own unique address, but I can automatically BCC it to this project, this unique project address. And what happens is that context becomes another resource that's now stored in this, knowledge graph of this Nike engagement. Great. So quick recap before I go to the next step. I have a call with Melody where I have context from our conversation. She's shared with me her 2026 AI charter. The next thing I need to do to complete my picture around a proposal is I need to be able to go to Google Drive and grab all of the client stories that we have, right? So it just so happens, my marketing team is great. They've created all of our different client stories around, what we've done. So here's one where we worked with Orion Manufacturing, where we connected a supply chain system for them, right? And 360 customer view for Summit Financial Services. All of these different client stories, with the systems that we've done and the outcomes, I can very seamlessly in Moonnox import that resource through our Cloud Connector service. I just have to go new connection job, go to Google Drive, say client stories, hit confirm. And then I'm not going to do it live here, but I can essentially just connect to robert@moonnox.com and I'll have access to my Drive folder to pull that specific folder in. The other thing that I need to do is I need to pull in my Certinia data or my PSA data if you're using Cloud Coach or any other PSA service provider, right? So here I have my utilization report, my assignment report, my skill and certification report, where I have a profile of my different team members within my organization, right? So here's Brandon Francis, Henry Mills, there are different things that they've worked on. And what I can then do is the same exact action where I can import this resource, go to Cloud Connectors, set up a Salesforce report connector, pulling from that Certinia data and sync it directly into this project. Now, a couple cool things I'm going to highlight here. That Certinia report with my resources, I might not sync it directly to the project. I might want to sync it at the organizational level where that data set, the Certinia data, can then be leveraged across not only my Nike project, but across my Coca-Cola project or my Granger manufacturing project, because that data set is so valuable across my entire organization, right? So we have multiple levels of ways to connect that data to put it in the path of work and where it's going to be the most valuable for your use. Cool. So now that we have the different context layers that we need to piece our picture, the next step is we need to start engaging with our process layer. And what we have here is our agent studio, and it is our Moonnox's agent factory. So what I've done is I've created two agents. One of them is called the Moonnox business case agent. And its role is to basically, look at prospect call transcripts, roadmap assets, look at Certinia data, client stories. And all it's going to do is give me an output structure around an executive summary, strategic context, the problem statement based on, what our customers are facing, proof from similar clients, and then, some impact metrics in what we're hearing. And, what's the recommended next steps, right? So that's one agent. It's pointed towards our client stories. The next agent that I've also created here is our Certinia agent. And the Certinia agent's main purpose is to basically drive a first pass at staffing. The Certinia agent's going to take in the context of everything that we've discussed at Nike. It's going to be able to look at the staffing availability of my resources, who might be the best fit, and then recommend who should be staffed, right? Now, the cool thing about these agents are we can think of them as, digital assistants, right? I don't have to create them every single time for a specific engagement. I should be very easily able to pull these agents in, right? I can go through my agent team, grab an agent, automatically give it context. And now when I engage with the Certinia agent, I say recommend resources. This is probably going to take a second, but what's happening behind the scenes is this agent's going to look through all of the requirements and needs from Melody, her charter, conversation with her. It's going to look at our Certinia's data, and then it's going to come back with recommendations on who might be the best fit for this project, right? So I have, Brandon Francis, their skill certifications, previous work history, their 8-week availability. And keep in mind, this can be fine-tuned to your, religion, your methodology, the way your organization operates. If there's things that you focus on as a company or you want to highlight, you can have this agent, now that you have this context layer, piece together a narrative that makes the most sense based on your value prop, right? We have a very similar action here with our Moonnox business case agent, where this agent here, if I say build a business case, This agent's purpose is to look at all the call information with Melody again. It's going to look at the 2026 AI charter. It's going to look at the availability of our people within our organization who might be a best fit and what they've done before in the past, and piece together a summary, strategic context, the problem statement, everything you saw that how I prompted it earlier. Again, this could be fine-tuned to your approach, your organization, your methodology, to really highlight the unique value prop that you bring to your customers, right? So this is pretty cool, right? It's getting all this context, it's getting this information, it's getting output. But you know what? I'm a pretty lazy sales guy. I want things even easier for me, right? So what we've actually built into our system is the ability to actually generate an asset directly from Moonnox. So we have a module called Doc Assist, and there's two ways to engage this. So the first way is, let's imagine if within my organization, one of my sales ops leaders have actually created a business case template for me, right? All it does is basically, hey, have an agent build a business case and then drive a resource plan, right? I can very easily in Moonnox clone this template, assign it to Nike, right? And now it's assigned to the Nike sales cycle project. And when I click generate now, this is going to take about a cup of coffee in regards to the time commitment, but the output of that is something like this, where it's going to take my template, it's going to give me an executive summary, the strategic context, everything you saw in the agent, but I was just too lazy to copy and paste because I'm lazy sales guy, and I am here getting my Moonnox resource plan and everything else kind of outlined here, right? So, and then finally, one really cool feature that we're actually a whole rollout that we're doing actually next week. We have the ability now to actually bring Moonnox directly into your Google Suite. So if you use Google Slides, if you use Google Sheets, if you use Google Docs, if you have your template there, I can very easily highlight a section. I can select the project, and I can then assign, oh, of course it's going to expire right as I demo live. I can assign a section. Oh, I guess, well, we're releasing this next week. But if you highlight this section, you can actually assign an agent to it. And then the same process, what you get is an output like this. So this is being rolled out next week. And then we are actually doing the same thing for the Microsoft Office suite in the following month. So pretty exciting things to continue bringing this innovation directly into your path of work. So with that being said, thank you very much for taking the time with me. Marissa,